Hi, my name is Robin McKeown. I'm the Executive Director of True Colors. Welcome to our first of 6 MiniCon series. Obviously, it's not the same as the conference, but it's something that we're hoping could make a connection for people, and will recreate some of the connectedness that existed at the conference. So, and because it's our very first time, we are going to expect technical difficulties, and we hope we'll get them all resolved before next week. We thought we had them all resolved, but you know, life is what it is. And I have this image in my head of preteens all over the country giggling behind their hands at all of the adults trying to figure out the technology that they have been experts at for their entire lives. But in any event, so here's what I want to say about what we're trying to do. That we're trying to create a space live on YouTube and live on Facebook, in which all people are welcome, valued, and affirmed. So it's a space for gay, lesbian, bisexual, transgender, intersex, queer, questioning two-spirit, same gender loving, pansexual, flexual, not straight, not labeling, gender bending, bigender, pangender, agender, asexual, non-binary, straight, and other LGBT and ally youth. So to make a place where people of all orientations and genders are welcome, to make a place where people of all races and ethnicities are welcome, people of all abilities and disabilities, people regardless of their citizenship status or their documents, a place where everyone is welcome. And so this first session of the conference is really about sort of intersectionality and the ways in which people negotiate a world with all the different social identities that they have. The people that you'll be talking with today with me are all people who have successfully negotiated all these different components of their identity, and they'll be sharing with you some of their experiences with that. And then immediately after the broadcast, what we'll do is I will post all of their videos on our YouTube channel, and you can watch them live from there. So I'm going to introduce right now, I thought they were in here, but I'm just admitting this person, and I'm actually gonna admit Xiomarie for a minute. And Xiomarie, just a reminder, my love, just a reminder that you're on at 2:30, baby. And can you hear me?
Hello?
Hi, can you hear me, Xiomarie?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Okay, so you're on at 2:30, honey. So Nia and Ness are gonna be on first. And so okay. As soon as they join me, I'm gonna bringing them on. But why don't you tell us what you're gonna be doing at 2:30?
So first off, hi everyone, what's the tea, honeybee? My name is Xiomarie Lebeija, and I am a drag queen. And today I will be doing a get ready with me. I'm going to be doing my makeup, and you guys are gonna see everything that goes down behind the scenes.
So great. All right. So I don't see I don't see Nia and Ness yet, but I'm going to do a quick introduction of them. And Xiomarie, why don't you head out and come back at 2:30, and we can't wait to watch your transformation.
All right. I'll see you guys at 2:30.
All right. Bye, baby. All right. So there's a couple of people that are going to be joining us in just a minute. They were hoping that their video was going to be playing right now. They did an amazing video called Journey, which is really the story of their lives as humans, as women, as Black women, as lesbians, as women, lesbian women in a relationship. And they tell that story in both spoken word and in dance. For those of you who were at the conference last year, they were the headliners on the Saturday stage last year. And they were so, people had such an amazing response to them that they, you know, that it just seemed like such a great idea to bring them back. And they were going to be headlining the main stage on Friday. Obviously the main stage is here, so we're delighted that we're going to be bringing them in first. But I noticed they're actually not in the waiting room yet because they're still waiting for their video to finish playing. So I guess this is one of those glitches, right? And fortunately, almost everybody else, except for Carl, most everybody else is going to be live today. So we will be, and I see she's, we will be having live conversations with folks as soon as they get here. Let me tell you who the other guests are while we're waiting for Nia and Ness. So after Nia and Ness, you met Xiomarie. Xiomarie Lebeija is Connecticut's sort of plus size diva in her own words. And one of the things that's the coolest thing, I mean, there's many cool things about Xiomarie Lebeija, but one of the things, she's the only person I've ever met who can do a death drop from the stage. I don't know how she does that without killing herself, but she does that. It's one of her signature moves. She's an incredible dancer. She's an incredible member of the House of Lebeija. She has a number of children in the house, including one of the children that's in her house is Avocado, who is a young person who used to be a youth staff at True Colors. And Avocado discovered her sort of trans persona during her time here in Queer Academy. And now she is one of Xiomarie's daughters. So after we watch Xiomarie transform into Xiomarie, we're going to bring on someone really amazing. His name is Carl Alexander. And Carl Alexander is a countertenor. Before I met Carl, I did not know what a countertenor was. And then I listened to his music and it is just extraordinary. He's an extraordinary singer. And he's also a social justice activist. He's also a gay man, and he's also a Black gay man. And so when he comes on, he's going to talk with us a little bit about his journey in opera, how he developed his really signature sound, and then his experiences out in the world. And then and Nia and Ness are here. Our last folks that are coming in the last piece today is everybody's favorite. And I'm so delighted and so honored that she's coming on. It's Kate Bornstein from Gender. She wrote my gender workbook. She's a gender pioneer, an amazing human being. So I'm gonna let Nia and Ness in and bring them up to speed on what's been going on. And then we'll have a conversation with them. So hold on. And I'm gonna put this in, they're connecting. They should be here in a second. Gotta love technology. There they are.
Wow.
How are you?
Good, how are you?
So we've been having all kinds of technical difficulties, somehow trying to make the videos work together with the Zoom has been just a major, and in fact, I think we went live and people heard bad words coming out of my mouth. So I didn't realize that was happening at the time, sorry. Anyway, so people have not seen your video. I have told them about it, and I've told them that immediately after.
Let me real fast do something.
Yeah, I just turned off. Can you hear me still? Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, all right. So I think part of that might be, I don't know if you have the Facebook channel on.
Yeah,
I think I'm seeing live on Facebook, so YLP production.
Right, so maybe you could turn off your Facebook page. There we go. Now it's working.
That was Ma G's phone, it said up there.
Oh, okay, so, okay, that was not you. That was somebody else, that was Gina. Okay, Gina's gone now. All right, so. And that's, I was saying when we first started, I said, I know that there's pre-teenagers all over the US that are laughing behind their hands at all of the grown-ups who are trying to figure out the stuff that they've been expert at, their whole lives. So, but let's talk a little bit, people, some people have seen your video, some people have not seen your video. I did an introduction about who you are and sort of some of the work that you're doing. I want to ask first, how are y'all doing in this pandemic? As humans, as a couple, and as artists, how's that going?
We're hanging in there. It's some days are tougher than others, but in general, we found as a couple that our communication is getting a lot better.
Huh.
Because we have the time. I mean, we were kind of together all the time anyway, to be honest. But we really have that time to just focus in on some of the tough conversations that people don't want to have. There's time to have them. So we have been.
Yeah. And it's been great, in a sense, for creating as well, having all this time and honestly nothing to work towards right now, which sounds like super depressing, but because we don't have this okay, we have a show coming up in 2 weeks, we have to prepare for that, or we have, we're producing this event coming up in 2 months, we have that. It's we just have time now to just explore and see what comes out of that, and that's been a really beautiful experience to have. But also just the living in fear, that has been the hard part, was when we have to do things like go to the grocery store or even check the mail, and worrying about okay, am I keeping myself safe? Mask, gloves, hand sanitizer, all of that. Am I taking care of myself? Is my partner taking care of herself? Are we okay? So that part has been tough, just with the anxiety, but we're just grateful to have each other, honestly.
And we also are fortunate where we live on a lot of land. And we have a lake across the street, so we do get out and be in nature, and that's really nice, and a lot of folks don't have that. So we know that we're blessed in that way as well.
That's great. That's great. So I'm excited that you've been able to do some work and it's been helpful in your creative process. I know, for myself in this, that I've had days when I've been very creative and days when I've just not been able to do anything. I wonder though, you live and work together, and all of your art comes through your relationship and the work together. So tell us a little bit about, what's your process as individuals, as joint artists? How do you do the things that you do artistically?
Well, it starts with a conversation. So either something traumatic will happen, and maybe it'll keep happening in different ways, and we will talk about it. And then after a while, we'll say, okay, well, there's a lot of material here. We need to make a piece about it. So I'll go off and write, and it won't necessarily be all right, conversation break. Now I'm going to go off and write, and you're going to do, research movement. But it'll be over the course of maybe a month, maybe a week, maybe a few days. Each of us are kind of in our own separate, even if we're in the car, I'll be thinking of phrases and words, and Nia will be thinking about movement. And then we'll bring it together and we'll see okay, how did this feel in your body when I said this phrase? Did it accurately capture what it was you were feeling at the time? And then vice versa. Nia will show me a movement and say, does this depict how you felt? That's, and then we have a piece, and it can change too. The journey actually that wasn't shown, but it's changed since we first created it. And our art and our relationship is all
mesh together as one thing. There's no difference. Like, so that's been a really like beautiful and unique experience as artists, even just personally, because neither one of us has ever lived with, been in a relationship with our artistic partners, you know? So like, it's a really amazing experience being able to share ideas at any time. Whenever inspiration comes, we can work with that right in that moment, instead of having to like, oh, I'll wait till I'll see you in like 2 weeks.
Yeah, that's really cool. One of the things I was thinking when you were talking about that is that the concept of, these are the words, what did they feel like in your body? And did that movement express the feeling that I had in the words? That level of communication and synchronicity is really pretty amazing. That it seems like, you know, a focus on pretty intense authenticity has to be maybe almost sort of the rule in your relationship. What is that like?
Yeah. Yeah. And even more so now, like as we've been communicating more, I don't want to say communicating more, but focusing more on our communication. Yeah, we have to be completely authentic. We have to bring our truest selves to it, or there is no relationship. Not a genuine one.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's for the betterment of our relationship. Yeah. And so when it's hard, when you have those moments where you have that choice, where you're like, should I be this honest? Can I be this honest? And then you think about, okay, what do I want? I want this true, honest relationship. So I have to work through that discomfort to share something that I usually wouldn't share with anybody else. I have to share it with my partner.
And the fact that I feel like I can trust you to be that honest, because that's another thing, is like, if I don't feel like I can trust you, I'm going to hold back. And I would say vice versa. Yeah. And so being able to trust each other, to be that listening ear, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's amazing. I think sometimes I wonder, you know, that must get exhausting too sometimes, you know.
Yeah, it can be tiresome. Like, it's like the word exhausting just makes it feel like, oh.
Yeah.
But I mean, it can be challenging, I'll say. And there are times, when we'll have a conversation where I'm like, you know, I need to go over here for a minute and process and just separate, because I need to recharge. And we've been working on giving each other more of a, what's the word I'm looking for? Basically just saying like, hey, I need this time, but I will come back and we can continue the conversation.
Yeah.
And it also too, it depends on the kind of dates we've had. Cause we've been talking about how, because we haven't been interacting with that many people, we were only interacting now, it's like really only interacting with each other. When back in the day, we would be going on hikes or going to out more and seeing friends and family and stuff like that. Now it's just us two, so we're only interacting with our energy, so we're not as exhausted anymore, honestly, emotionally and mentally. So we're able to have like really set down this time to have these conversations and take the time for that, so that we can do that, and we're in a good place to do that.
I like being in our energy. Our energy is fun. I like being in the bubble. I do.
That's so great. That's so great. I just want to pause for a second and see the people who are monitoring whatever live streams are actually working. I know the True Colors Facebook live stream is, and we know that it's recording. So we're going to be able to, you know, post it after. But I just want to see Holly's monitoring the Facebook page. Any comments or questions for Nia and Ness that have come through there? She's also been handling all the backside tech stuff, so give her a second to.
Yeah, of course. That's a lot.
Just speak out. As Black women, do you feel certain cultural aspects guide the relationship? So that one question from someone is, as Black women, Do you feel like certain cultural aspects guide your relationship?
Yeah. Yeah. I definitely, in my life, I've always been around a lot of Black women.
Mm-hmm.
And that love they have, and if they're not mothers themselves, they have this mothering love.
Mm-hmm.
And we definitely have that for each other. I feel like in our relationship, we have like a deep, deep, deep care for one another, like the well-being. Like we're like, it's like, okay, like making sure, like, did you eat today? Did you have enough water? Like things like that, that like you wouldn't think to ask a partner, because you're kind of doing it yourself, and you're just focused on yourself kind of. And it's like things like that are part of the nurturing yourself and taking care of yourself. We definitely do that for each other.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
So,
I think, oh, what?
No, go ahead. I was just going to say, I was thinking that, you know, it is a cultural tradition, the concept of I am because we are,
Mm-hmm.
you know, that I exist because of us and in our connectedness to each other. And it sounds like that's part of the culture that you sort of bring into your relationship in ways that are really helpful for both of you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gonna say, yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, that's, thank you for that. Yeah, I think sometimes on a different note, sometimes there's this pressure to conform to, I guess, heteronormativity that is prevalent in the Black culture. And so I'll find myself feeling pressure to kind of act in these, like, I guess, arguably toxic masculine ways. So that's something that I work on kind of counteracting.
Yeah. And the you know, cultural norms around gender that are different from culture to culture, community to community. There's next week, one of our speakers is going to be Scott Turner Schofield, and his concept is about gender dysphoria and the idea that everybody has gender dysphoria, because every time someone feels compelled to act in a certain way because of their gender, or somebody has a criticism of somebody else because of how they're expressing their gender, that's all gender dysphoria. And that different, you know, cultural communities have their own set of expectations around culture and how men are supposed to be and women are supposed to be, and that can complicate and you know, it obviously can complicate same-sex and trans and non-binary relationships because how do you work within the constraints? How do you create your own with the constraints of this is what the culture says in that? Are there any other questions in there? I have a few more that. Who would you say? Well, you know, how have you been performing since the pandemic? I think you and we were talking about something that you've put in place. Do you want to talk about that a little bit, about how you sort of keep the audience stuff going?
Yeah. So we actually started a virtual festival called Staying Connected, a virtual festival. It's a Facebook live stream festival that we put together back in March when everything kind of like hit the fan, and every artist that we knew went into like panic mode, because we all were like, how are we going to pay our bills? How are we going to survive? Because our livelihood was literally just like gone. And then too, like I was seeing on Facebook a lot of like individual concerts and stuff, and then it was like a lot happening, so I was like, okay, how can we bring people together but not in person but online, and also raise money not just for ourselves but for other artists as well, so they can also pay their bills and figure out how to survive during this time. So the first festival we did, it was a 2-day thing. We had 8 artists, including ourselves, over a weekend span. And then we decided to, after that, what happened, and it went so well, people were asking for it to happen again. So we decided to turn it into a one night monthly festival. So we're doing it again next Wednesday, the 27th is our next one. And
Wednesday the 27th?
Yes.
Yeah, and if you send the link to that, we'll put it up on the channels.
That would be great. Yeah, and tickets are $20 or pay what you can /wish. So if you don't have that right now, any amount, even $1, $2, anything is helpful and fine. And we wanted to make it so that anybody could attend. So that's been really awesome, creating a little community in that sense online and being able to share these incredible artists that we personally know with so many different people across the country. That's been really awesome.
Yeah. And so the next time that's on is Wednesday?
Yes.
Wednesday, May 27th at 7 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time.
Great. And we'll put the link up so that people that are interested can join in. And so we're believe it or not, we're getting low on time for this.
Wow.
It went really fast.
Yeah.
What would you like to say? So you're talking to an audience of young people and adults. What message would you like to give them about love and life? Wow, that's a broad statement, huh?
Yeah. I mean, love is life.
I was going to say for me that you deserve it. You deserve to be loved honestly and truly the way that you need. It took me a very long time, honestly. It took me into meeting you to really understand that. Because I remember at first, like, experiencing like this love was uncomfortable because I've never experienced it before. So knowing that you deserve it. You deserve it to not settle. Because I've had a lot of people tell me that about my life as well. Oh, just take what you can get. And it's like, no, like there is healthy love out there for you if you don't have it already.
Yeah.
Y'all
It's
deserve
great.
it.
I love that. I guess I'll just say, just hold on to yourself. Even if you can't express it at the moment, hold on to that person. And
yeah, especially right now with people, who are home, who may or may not be able to be out, the idea that, you deserve love, and that you should hold on to who you are, even if you can't express that right now. Yeah, that's really great advice. So thank you both very much.
Thank you.
And sorry about the video, but we'll have it up shortly and we'll let people know once it's up there. So please have a great rest of your day, and we will talk again soon. And hopefully we'll see you on Wednesday night at your performance.
And if you have any questions, feel free to DM us on Instagram or Facebook at Nia and Ness. So we're by our phones.
Yeah.
So if
you have additional questions that you didn't get asked right now, feel free to contact them at Nia and Ness. They're on Facebook, they're on Instagram, and check them out. So thank you very much. We'll see you guys later.
See ya.
And again, you can watch us live on the True Colors Facebook page. That's where it seems to be streaming right now.
Awesome.
Sounds good.
See you later.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye.
All right. So that was Nia and Ness. Again, we'll put their video up in a little while. As soon as the broadcast ends, we'll put everything up on our Facebook channel. This is being recorded, so we'll be able to hopefully put this up on the Facebook channel too. And now waiting in our waiting room, in the green room at Zoom, is our very own Xiomarie Lebeija. And so I'm going to admit her into the room. It'll probably take her a minute to oh no, so here she's coming right up. She's connected to the audio. And again, folks, if you're watching on Facebook, if you're watching the live stream on Facebook, please don't hesitate to jot in your questions or any comments, or and we'll pass them along to Xiomarie. Xiomarie, she's doing her thing. So I am going to shut up, and I'm going to change the view on this, I hope, so that Xiomarie, you're the one that's most. Hold on one second. I have to change it again. That's not what I meant to do. All right, hold on one second. Exit full screen. And then, I don't know why this isn't working the way I want it to work. Just keep moving it on Zoom. Somebody said, okay, we'll just keep moving. And we'll go, nope, go away. All right, hold on one second. I think more, no. All right, hold on a second. Anyway, why don't you get started? And then as soon as I figure out how to do it, you will be the only person on the screen.
No problem. Hi, everyone. What's the tea, honeybee? This is your girl, Xiomarie Lebeija, and I am a drag queen here in Connecticut. My pronouns in drag are she, her. Out of drag, I go by he, him. And yeah, today what we're going to be doing is just pretty much you guys are going to be seeing the behind the scenes of me getting ready and doing my face. And I'm going to kind of explain a little bit of how I go through it and just my little pointers and tips. Remember, a lot of the products I'm going to show you guys today are very affordable, and we're just here to have fun, honey. If you guys remember me, I was there last year, the year prior to that, but True Colors is definitely holds a very close, very, very, very warm place in my heart, and I'm so happy to be here with you guys. So yeah, what we're gonna start getting ready to do is explain what's going on my face right now. So I already started this side of my face, so that way we can go ahead and cut down time so we can kind of continue just kind of going smoothly with today's curriculum. With that being said, so as you guys see on this side of my face, what we did is we laid our powders. So right now, this side of my face is going to be baking, which baking means it's just going to, my skin is pretty much going to soak up all of the makeup. And hopefully by the end of this, it's going to look symmetrical and good. But yeah, anyways, I hope everyone's having a great day. Better than me because I just dropped my powder, but we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna get started on this side of my face. So before I go ahead and start with the powders, pretty much this side of the face is still what I would consider moist. It has no powder has touched this side of the face. What we used on my face today, we used for my highlight, which I do over the brow, which by the way, I did glue down my brows. So my brows are glued down by Elmer's glue, little purple washable Elmer's glue. And then we used a mascara wand and we made sure we brushed them up and we brushed them away. And we laid down the clown white, which the clown white is from Maron, where it is white. It goes on, and pretty much clowns use this makeup, but it is a foundation-like paste that sits amazingly. So I kind of go and I create my eye, and then as I go into the cheek where I want to create my highlight and cheekbone, that's part of like pretty much the reconstruction of doing your face when you're doing makeup. I just go lightly under in a triangle so that I know this part of my face will be lighter than the rest of my highlight. And then I ended up going in with my contour, which with my contour, I use one that you pretty much get at the hair store. It's called Kiss. It's a little lovely little stick. You go ahead, draw it on. I draw it from the beginning of under the ear, all the way down, across, all the way over. And then I go ahead and I take it into the cheek. I do it maybe about 1.5 inches down in a little circular motion. And then I go all above on my forehead. So with it being on my forehead, you then have to blend it out. And once I blend everything out, then I go in with my concealer, which the concealer I use is the LA Girl Pro Conceal, which you can also get at the hair store. Now, so far, the products that I have showed you, the Clown White is about roughly around $10, but everything else that I have showed you is between $2 and $4 each. So very affordable, very well, very, very, very good makeup. And then I just went over the entire highlight. I went over where I put the Clown White and then blended it out. Then we went in and we took our little sponge, because our sponges, I have a sponge that's for contour and foundation. And I have one where it's Clown White and the highlight color. And because I like these a lot better, the reason why is because of the ridges. I use this to go ahead and contour my nose because it's it's just easier to go ahead and pat it down, create the lines that you need, and then blend it out. So where we are here is pretty much how it looks when it's all wet and just placed. And what we're gonna do now is we're gonna go ahead and we are going to place our powders so that we can go ahead and get ready to start the eyes, which the eyes I feel like are the heart of the face. So let's get started. Now the powders I use, a lot of people love to reference this to the old lady powders and the old lady smells, but my favorite powder is Airspun, and you can get this at Walmart, and it's about $4 or $5 each. I have a stack of them, but the colors I use is a honey beige for my face, and I use a light ivory for under my eyes. Reason why for under my eyes is that's where my highlight is. Right above my upper lip is where I also, and right on my chin is where I also put product. Now, the reason why I do it in the way that I stated is because every drag is different. And no matter how many times people try to put you in a certain category, at the end of the day, your makeup is your makeup. If you are trying to go ahead and you're inspired by what pretty much inspires me, which is women, powerful women, such as my mother, my grandmother. We also have Robin in the house. So Robin is a powerful woman that inspires me as well. And what I go for is more of a feminine and very more of a realistic in a sense. And when I say realistic is, if you go ahead and do research, as I have done in makeup artistry, women are known to have more on oval and circular faces. As for men, we are known to have very pretty much square or in that kind of round because of our jawline and how our face is just set up. I like to try and manipulate my face to make it more round so that it can create more of the feminine features because of the fact that you use your shadows, to your dark shadows to create those undertones, and you use your light powders on top to create the highlight to help form out your face, to create those curves in your face. Now, it's easier sometimes for people like me who are plus size, just because we have the face, we have the skin. Now, the whole point of going ahead and contouring and highlighting is to make sure you look nice, tight, and a very, you know. So what I go ahead and do is I like to go and grab my little blending brush, which I got on elf.com, which all of my brushes are also from Elf. And Elf brushes range between $1 and $3. I got the cheap ones. They work amazing. They work regularly. I've had these for years and they have not let me down. And when they do let me down, I just go to Walmart and I grab another one. Or I go on elf.com and I order it. But what we're going to do is we are going to go ahead and we're going to start contouring. We're going to contour this side of my face so it matches this side. But then also, actually, let's place powders first. So we're going to go with the Airspun first. We're going to go with the neutral, the ivory that I had stated before. And right where I want to put it is right where I had put the concealer from prior, which is right under the eye. And you want to go ahead and you want to pretty much pound it in, but make sure you are very particular of where you're going to place your powders. Now, with this being a lighter powder, I am very careful because I want to make sure where I have it darker, I am not making lighter. I am leaving it alone. So I'm going right under my eye. I'm going to go right up. I'm going to go, as you can see, I'm just going to continue. And then, boom. So that was the light. And we're going to go ahead and touch up the chin, touch up the upper lip. And now we're going to go in with the face powder. Now, here's a powder puff that I had purchased online. You can go to the hair store as well. And these are usually about $1, $2 for a pack of 1 or 2. Online on Amazon, I believe it's like $10 for a pack of like 5 or 10. I don't recall. But these are very cheap. And I would definitely suggest you go ahead and grab one of these. I use these for both my powders, top to bottom. So it works amazingly. So we're going to go in with the face powder and we're going to place this down. And as you see, I'm going to add very excessive amounts of powder on my face. And the reason why I'm going to do that is because also I have a beard and I shaved, and unfortunately it grows back. So it grows all under here on my foundation, and my foundation does look good and does look smooth, but I want to make sure it remains that way. So I go in with the powder and I pretty much dip it again. And I go right under where I contoured so that I make sure that I'm not touching the contour, but I am making it very obvious of where it is that I am contouring. As you see, I'm still putting product. You don't want to be, you're using cosmetics. So you want to make sure you get it all up in the skin. You want to make sure you get it under your neck. Don't forget your ears. Make sure everything matches. And then you want to go ahead and lightly go over your highlight so it adds more of your fleshy tone.
Hey, Xiomarie?
Yes, love.
For you. Somebody asked, what grades of brush and material are you using? I don't know what that means.
I will say the grade of brushes I'm using are grade Walmart and grade elf.com.
That's great.
Which means they're very affordable and very easy to get your hands on. I haven't had any problems with them when it comes to fallout, when it comes to it kind of shifting in different ways or it breaking, but because I've had these for so long, I just add super glue on the bottom of it anyways. But yeah, grade W for Walmart and grade E for Elf.
Great, cool. And then the other question that they had was, how and why did you get started doing drag?
Okay.
You're doing your makeup as you do that.
Yes. Here's my story pretty much of how I was introduced into drag. All my life, I've always wanted to do, not musical theater, but I always wanted to do dance. I always wanted to do, I was always active in the arts, you can say. And originally I'm born and raised in Bridgeport, Connecticut. And out there, unfortunately, were not a lot of resources for the LGBTQ plus community. Not knowing my identity up until maybe about sophomore, junior year. So with that being said, when I turned 18, friends had told me about a club that was out in Bridgeport. And it was the only LGBT plus club that was anywhere in the area other than New Haven. And it was $5 to get in, and it was 18 plus. So I was like, you know what, let me check it out. So in that one night, it was the first time I was introduced to a trans woman. It was the first time I was introduced to the artistry of drag. It was the first time I saw a drag queen up in person. I had never seen a queen or heard of anything like that at all. I was always in church. I was always kind of out on the streets at one point where I kind of was just trying to find a way out of what I was going through. And when I had arrived to the club, I was very skeptical to walk into it, period, because of the fact that I had just came back from the True Colors conference. I was very much being very educated very quickly on my identity, what resources were available for me, where I can go to grab them, just knowing more about myself and wanting to do my research, that when I walked into it, I kind of was just like, I kind of hoped it would be like the conference, very accepting, very warming, very, oh yeah, you want to make sure you blend. But, and the first drag queen I ever met is my actual drag mother, Miss Natasha Red Rose, which she's originally from Puerto Rico, and she moved to Bridgeport, and she had just moved back to Bridgeport when she had performed. And when she had moved back, that was the first gig. She was excited to be there, but I don't think she was up to for the challenge of pretty much what I was going through. And it was very much, I want to be a queen. I want to do it. I want to do it. I want to do it. And she's very, okay. And because my mom was not on board with it, I tried it on Halloween. My best friend painted me, and we went and we roamed the streets of Bridgeport. And then I went back to my drag mother and I said, I want to do more of this. She put me in drag for like the first year of me doing drag out in Bridgeport. And from there, it just kind of became a very personal thing where I wanted to learn how to do my makeup. I wanted to learn how to get my costumes together and my hair together. So it just drew me where it was finally a place in my life that made sense, believe it or not, because everything I was pretty much told not to do or whatnot when I was younger, such as act feminine or take dance classes or anything like that, I'm able to put all that in together and be the person and the entertainer I am today. And it's quite crazy of how so many people are like, you're so talented and da-da-da, and they feel that as if I had classes. And it was like, no, I haven't had classes. I have not had any type of dance lessons. It was more of me just watching trial error in my own room or when I was out and about at the club. And also being at the club, you see some of the most amazing performers, and it just motivated me, and here I am today. So now we're gonna go ahead and go into eyes real quick. So what I did is I placed the powders and I went from dark to light, and I blended it in circular motions right where the line was. And I went right with the jaw, right under, I connected it. I made sure both of my sides of the face look symmetrical. I did it on my forehead as well. And now we're just gonna go in with the eye. What I use, because I like clean lines, I use Old Mail So we're just gonna go ahead and take this lovely letter from the census, which I hope everybody did their census, because representation matters and you wanna be counted because yes, we are here, we are queer, we need to be heard. But yes, we're gonna take it and I'm gonna take it from the tip of my nose, right here in the corner, and I'm gonna place it right at the corner of my eye. So right where I have it, it does not move because I'm pushing against it, and that's where my eyebrow bone should be. Right here is where the bone is. So it's not gonna allow me to push it, which that's exactly where I want my line. And what I'm gonna go ahead and do is take my fluffy brush. I'm using the James Charles palette at the moment, so you can't see it at the moment, but that's what I'm dabbing into. And we're gonna use a couple of those browns, and we're just gonna take it and we're gonna blend it into the eye. And it's pretty much getting right in the corners and bringing it all the way out, very close to where the letter is, because you wanna keep that control. And now that I remove the line with the letter, you go ahead and see it is a lovely clean line. And now I'm gonna go ahead with the product, which now I can show you the James Charles palette, and we're gonna go here on the very top, and we're just gonna buff that out. That is, all I'm doing is blending it inwards into my eye. I'm not trying to shift the color. I'm not trying to bring it out in any type of way. I am just blending it right where it's at. And boom. So now we have, we're gonna take our powder puff. We're gonna go in with our powder, and we're gonna touch up once again right under the line so we can clean this up and create that lovely curve that I love with the cheeks. And now I'm gonna go ahead with the face powder as well. We're gonna go on the forehead. Make sure that I put a lot. I'm not gonna do it today, but I usually go in about 15 times or so to make sure, because I sweat a lot. So I make sure that I put extra product on to pretty much have my entire face soak that up. We are also going to go ahead and we are going to lay down our white powder right there. And then go in with our brush just to touch it up once again. Boom, boom, boom. And we are going to go into the inner eye, and we're going to create circular motions right inside the inner eye. The reason why we're doing this is because this is also contouring your face, your eyes, but we are going to use this later on when it comes to creating the crease and taking it from there, from that shindig. Now, with the amount of makeup I use, please excuse me, I'm going to be blowing my nose back and forth because it likes to get up in places that is not of the Lord. So please hold. All right. So now we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna add some color. So with me going in my eye, today I'm kind of feeling very, I don't know, I'm feeling kind of blue. So we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna use this lovely blue from the James Charles palette. And right where I did that brown, I'm gonna go ahead, right on top of it, and I'm going to use that as my guide to go in with the blue. And I'm just gonna blend her out right where I put her. With me doing it this way, it helps stay in place. It helps with pigmentation, but also it helps when we go ahead and try to manipulate it to look like there is some more connection than what there really is. So you guys will see what I mean by that. I hope everybody's day is going amazing. I'm just saying. I know you guys, I can't hear you guys, but hope everyone is staying very positive in this time. I know it's kind of crazy, but no, with all love, we are all going through this. We're going through this together. So we have to remain strong.
Somebody wondered where your name came from.
Oh, okay. Well, so there's a funny story when it comes to my name. So I went to Bullard Havens Technical High School out in Bridgeport, Connecticut. And when I was there, I was part of culinary. This was also during the time where, I just did drag for the very first time. I was telling everybody about it, showing everyone pictures. And it came to a point where they were like, well, you know what? You need a name. And at first, my first drag name, well, it wasn't even my drag name. It was the name I went by on Halloween, was Gigi. Why? I don't know. But we chose Gigi and it stuck for that night and boom. Now, I've always been different. So it's one of those things where I just really did not want to blend, match anybody. And we were at the cafeteria table, and everyone's throwing, literally everyone is throwing out ideas. They're just like, they're Veronica and Stacy, and I'm like, no. So someone said, what about Maddie? And I was just like, well, I know so many Maddies, so we're gonna have to do something to make it unique. We just started continuing adding on different things and whatnot. And then, I don't know why, my favorite letter is X. It's always been like that. I've always said if I have a child, I would love to put his either first or middle name, Xylan, which is a name that I created as a child, and I've always stuck with it. All my video game names have been Xylan. So it's Xyalin. And I was just like, well, what if I started it with an X? And then we went into, well, what, you wanted Z, like Z? And I was like, wait, what? And then my friend Kishani goes, what about Seal? I was like, Seal what? Like Xiomarie? And she was like, yeah, Xiomarie. And there was the creation of Xiomarie, which that's of course my first name. And when I was I'm still a part of it, but my drag mother gave me Violet Rose because everyone in the house had a color that best represented themselves. So Violet was a color where she felt that it was very strong, it was very passionate, and it was very vibrant. And she felt like that was very me, and that was what she saw from me since day one. And then as time went by, when I went to college, that is when I met the overall house father of the Royal International House of Lebeija, which then we became close. And then later on in life, he asked me to be a Lebeija. I agreed, and then that's pretty much where the Lebeija comes from. So yeah, that's pretty much the history of my name.
Cool. So we're running a little bit low on time. So here's one of the things that I'm thinking. Tell me what you think about this.
Okay.
We'll go a couple more minutes, just a minute or two, and then we're going to go to Carl, and then we'll come back to you to see the product. What do you think about that?
Sounds like a plan. All I'm going to be doing is just creating my lid, blending everything in, put my lips on and my lashes, and we'll be a final product.
All right. So how about if we come back in, maybe 20 minutes or something?
Yeah, of course.
Would that work for you?
Oh, that would be perfect.
All right. So
all right. So I see you guys with the final product in 20 minutes.
Right. And here's some questions you can think about while you're off. So one of the questions was, do you use a setting powder in warm weather? What product do you use to manage any skin damage? And then I think one of the bigger questions was, do you have ever had any doubt about your drag career? And do you have any advice for youth facing some of the same feelings about wanting to do this? And then, so what's that process been like, and what advice do you have for young people who are considering their own drag career? Okay.
Okay.
All right. So we'll see you in about 20.
Yes, I'll see you guys in 20 minutes.
All right. Thank you, my love.
I thank you. I'll see you guys.
Bye. All right, I'm trying to turn my camera back on. It's just giving me some problems here. Here we go. All right, we're back. I can't wait to see Xiomarie's finished product. So I do have a video of our next performer. Our next conversation is with Carl Alexander, and Carl has an extraordinary voice and has been doing some extraordinary work. So I think I'm going to try, and again, there's my tech stuff is my tech stuff. So please bear with me. But hold on one second, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to close everything else that's up here out of the way. I'm going to go to Carl's. You can hear me, but you can't see me right now. I'm going to open Carl's video, and then I'm going to go back to Zoom, wherever the heck it went to. Here's Zoom. I'm going to go back to Zoom, and I'm going to share my screen. So with any luck at all, this is going to work, and you will have the opportunity to hear Carl's voice before he comes on. It's coming back. Is it on? Okay. Carl's not in the waiting room yet. He should be here very shortly. But I wonder if people have a response to his, wait, she's saying unmute. No, I am unmuted. One of the things that's a little bit challenging in doing this is that once that is up on my screen, I can't do anything else without changing what's on the screen. And so I couldn't mute my screen. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to mute myself again and then share the screen for Carl's second song. So. Except somehow I managed to not have it be there anymore. So, no. And so we'll just chat for a second while we're waiting for Carl to come on board. It's always interesting, having to do multiple things on one screen. I know I just got a text that I need to bring the video back up, and let me see if I know how to do that. So hold on one second, and we will see if I can make that happen. I know, put some pauses in here just so yeah. When I do that, it goes right back to the first song. So let's just wait for Carl to come on board. And hopefully one of the things that we'll get much better at between now and next week's session is how to move in between all of these things. Because even though we practiced a lot and thought that we were really sort of all set, it goes into what it goes into. So anyway, Carl should be on in a minute. And so what I'll do while we're waiting for Carl is I'll tell you a little bit about some of the upcoming the upcoming meetings. So this week about bringing ways in which we bring all of the parts of ourselves into one space. The next week we're going to be talking about really the spectrum of gender, and so we have a youth panel that will be talking about their lives with middle and high school, and I think even one of the students is a freshman in college. So really a variety of different experiences about different kinds of ways in which people experience gender. We'll be talking with Scott Turner Schofield, and he will be talking about his experience in sort of, he started with the concept of ending gender and then realized that really what he wanted to do was end gender dysphoria for all of us, right? And so he'll be talking about that. We have some performances that are coming up, and so next week is a really packed week with a lot of stuff, a lot of exploration of gender. In the week after, in week 3, we're going to be doing the spectrum of sexuality. And so we have a wonderful video from a youth group in Maine that's called YALS. And they did a spectrum of sexuality and gender video that I think you're really gonna love. It's got a lot of Q&As. And it's all different perspectives on all different kinds of sexual identities. We'll have Robin Oakes. Many of you know her as the sort of the queen of bisexuality and pansexuality. And so she's going to have a video that will be up on the channel before the program that people can watch about and her video is about creating a bi shield. You know, how do you protect yourself from some of the messages that we get about from other people in other places about who we are and what we like and don't like. In addition to Robin Oakes and the youth panel, there's also going to be, and we're very excited that that Heather May and Chris Matthews, who are going to be doing a performance on June 10th in support of True Colors. So they are doing a live Pride tour, right? Because Pride must go on. And they are going to be doing a special night just for True Colors on May 10th. On our Facebook page, you'll see the event. I think it's $15 and a percentage of the proceeds will go to support our youth work. So it's sort of a win-win. And they'll be on live to both perform and talk to you about their lives and experiences as queer artists. And so that's the third week. The fourth week is more of a week that's going to be looking at issues in school settings and in family settings. And I'm really excited to note that Caitlin Ryan, who's the founder of the Family Acceptance Project, who's done really the seminal work in what are the things that families do that help support their kids to have, you know, good lives and experiences, and what are the things that families do that hurt their kids and increase the risks that they face. And that will also include both a longer video for people who want training in that. That's really going to be for caregivers and providers, and then a Q&A with me. The week after, the fifth week, is going to be on spirituality and wellness. And so we've got a panel of different spiritual and religious traditions talking about how they interact with LGBT congregants or people that are part of their beloved communities. Kai Davis is a spoken word artist who's been doing a lot of work around spirituality and authenticity and using the tools, our own internal tools to manage and accept our lives and experiences. And tell her we're still on it for 3:30. I would also say that one of the things, I don't know, I'm surprised that Carl's not on yet, and maybe somebody who has access to the mail can find out if we've heard from him. But in the meantime, one of the things that I think is also true is that in the days of COVID, LGBTQ plus youth have been having unique things to deal with, that sometimes our kids are out and they're out at home and they're out at school and everything's okay. Sometimes they're out at school and they're not out at home, and that's added a whole level of complexity in terms of their being able to interact. I see Carl coming in. So I'm gonna bring Carl in and we'll talk a little bit more about that when we have our next break. So let me admit Carl. I'm excited that he's here. I'm excited that you got to hear his music. And here we go. Hi, Carl. Carl, you're in your car.
I am. 3 p.m.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. We've had, interesting technical issues, but we were able to show the first song that you provided to us. And so people got a really good taste of the incredibleness that is your voice. Why don't we, I don't have the questions that we talked about in front of me, but I'm just wondering, tell me a little bit about your process. It's very unique to be taught. You're the first opera person I think I've talked to. Right. So tell me about your process as an artist, how did you decide who you are and what, where you were and how you were going to do this?
Sure. So I'm a young singer. I'm 26. So that is pretty young in the opera world. Most of us don't really start making our leap into real stage singing until about 32. So I knew early on, around 21, that I was interested in singing. I did my first degree at Morehouse College, which is all male college and historically Black. They didn't have a voice like mine there. It was the first time they'd heard a voice like mine. They were like, do you know what you have there? And I'm like, I don't, I just know I can sing like my mom. So that turned into them believing in what I had as a gift. And they said, well, you're gonna be the first countertenor to graduate from our school. For those of you who don't know what a countertenor is, it's a male voice that's high, it's above tenor, and it's usually around the same range as a mezzo or soprano. I can sing very high, so I'm closer to a soprano. And most of the time, countertenors are tenors or baritones originally, which means they have lower voices, and they sing in falsetto production. My voice is a little bit different because I sing in head voice just like sopranos and mezzos do. So I have a stronger voice up there than most countertenors. So it's been a very fun and very different experience exploring my voice, especially when you come on stage and people are like, they see a very large Black man come on stage and they're like, oh, he's gonna be a bass. He's gonna be a baritone. He's gonna have a low, strong voice. And the first thing I do is sing a high note. And they're just like, wait, what? What is that? So the beautiful thing about being all of who I am and having the voice that I do is that I can come on stage and immediately ask people to surrender all beliefs that they have and just be involved with what's on stage, the words, the music. And if you find it beautiful, enjoy it.
Yeah, wow, that's so great. So just by being, you get to sort of challenge all of the myths and the stereotypes and the even the sort of the unexamined belief systems that people might have, just by coming out and being you.
Exactly.
Yeah, how cool is that? I bet that's been really exciting. I bet it's also been challenging sometimes.
Oh, yes, for sure. Of course. Not only just being a stage actor, I mean, being all the facets of my identity, being queer, being Black, being big. It's been difficult finding a stage and people who will always support that on stage. A lot of the times I get comments of like, you're larger than life. You take up too much space. You keep people from suspending belief in this character. And so I've had to fight against that quite a bit. As a result, I actually don't perform on stage as much. Most of my as far as like the operatic stage and stage theatrical works, I mostly am doing concert work, premiering new works, advocating for voices of color and queer voices of color to create new works that talk about our stories. And so I've had so much fun delving into that world. But there is sometimes confrontation that is met with all of who I am and what that means for someone else to suspend belief on a theatrical stage.
Yeah, I can get that. When I was on your YouTube channel and sort of listening to different things, you've performed with lots of different groups and organizations. Oh, and we got a question from the YouTube channel. What singers have influenced you?
Oh my gosh. Well, I grew up, my mother toured around when she was, had me in her womb as a gospel singer. And so she would do a lot of background singing and full choir singing and solo singing as a gospel singer. So I love gospel music. It actually was a hard transition for me to switch into classical music because there were so many different requirements I wasn't used to and I wasn't expecting. But as I become a classical singer and started listening to other artists, I'm in love with Jessie Norman. I'm so sad about her passing. I actually kind of boo-hooed when she passed because she exemplified everything that I wanted to be. Someone who's dramatic, larger than life on stage, someone who was devoted to her craft, who also had a large, beautiful voice, and demanded nothing but perfection, you know, as even though she was technically an outsider to the stage in the 80s and the 70s. And when she was starting her career in college, you know, there weren't that many Black voices on the Met stage, and she took charge. So I look up to her still, even in her passing.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you. And so have you had any favorite pieces, things that you most like to perform?
Oh, yes. I love to collaborate. It gives opportunity for people to like throw out different ideas. I'm a thinker. If you were in my home, you would see there's a lot of books. So I just love to, you know, share a room with a new composer. So anytime I get to collaborate with artists of color and composers of color who are trying out new things, who want to communicate a message about people who look like us, I'm all into it. One of which that I did recently used text by, I believe, Claude McKay and a couple other queer Black artists, or poets rather. And the music was just spellbinding. Putting another Black body in that space and re-communicating that text that still is very like, still very prominent and still like, you can see it in the world today. It was just, it really did elevate the performance, and it also just elevated me as I try to delve more into my art. So I love that.
Wow, that's so cool. Nia and Ness were on earlier today. They're a Black lesbian couple from New York, and they tell the story of their lives sort of in their spoken word and their dance. And they're doing every Wednesday, once a month, they're doing sort of a queer artist performances. So I will do an email.
Oh, awesome.
Between you, because that could be just a really interesting collaboration. Even if you collaborate remotely right now, that could be pretty amazing. Somebody else on the Facebook page wants to know, do you have anything coming up?
That is a good question. Everything that's happening with COVID has. I'm sorry. Can you hear me?
You're back. You're back.
Okay, there we go. The COVID-19 has presented a few problems for live performers. And so things are definitely have changed. But I still am working on ways to make like collaborative performance online. I have a lot of friends in the Chicago area who are trying to do chamber works online. So as those things come up, I'll definitely be posting them online. I do not have an answer for the future as far as live performance, but I do look forward to when those spaces are opened up again, because it means a lot to our community, especially to have those moments where we can be in solidarity in a space, share the love of music, but also delve into messages that mean something to us. It's a valid form of expression that we all need in this time, especially.
Yeah, exactly. One of the things we'll do after this is we'll put up on our YouTube channel, you know, contact information for you. But why don't we just tell people right now, how can people follow you if they're interested in watching your career or interacting, seeing what's coming up, listening to your music? What's the best way for them to follow you?
Of course. So if you want to listen to some music, there's definitely, if you type in Carl Alexander Countertenor on YouTube, you will find tons of videos, and there's more coming as we speak, more audio that you can listen to. Also, if you go on Facebook and type in Carl Alexander Countertenor, I will respond. So if you have questions or concerns, I want to talk more about what we talked about today, delve in more, I am an open book. So feel free to message. I definitely respond quickly. And there's also more videos there, and sometimes some ideas that we're contemplating about.
If you froze, so let's see if you're going to come back.
You have questions about. Oops. So yeah, Facebook is a great space for us to interact.
It's Carl Alexander Countertenor on
correct.
Right. And I noticed one of the things you had on the side of your Facebook page was ask me questions, and people could, you know, interact and get into dialogue with you, which I thought was just really cool.
Yes, for sure.
All right. Anything that you want to offer to sort of queer youth who might be listening to this, who maybe they have a unique voice or a unique talent? Like, what advice would you give them for, moving out in the world?
For sure. I currently mentor a lot of young queer students of color, and I love them all. They all are part of my family. Always, I'm sure they could vouch for this themselves. Whenever we are talking, whenever we're sharing our stories, our narratives and messages, and just our life experience, the thing that I always push them to do is continue to express themselves as themselves without any barriers and without any filters. There are too many barriers and filters in this life for all of who we are, no matter how we live our body politic or any of the many facets of who we are. There are so many filters that we already put up and put on. And the part that people really want to see, as I've learned, even though I didn't always believe it, is who you are, what you bring to the table as an artist, even if that may be farther than the realms in which they were willing to participate initially. And that's okay, because we are constantly pushing boundaries for what is okay for ourselves, pushing boundaries for what we're willing to accept, pushing boundaries for what we're willing to love. And if we just take the steps to love ourselves in that way, the stars the limit.
Oh, that's so great. That's so great. Thank you. So I hope that we'll have an opportunity to talk again and to interact again once, especially, the True Colors Conference is an annual event, and hopefully next year we'll be able to be back, together in a one space. So we definitely will be in touch. We're going to put your videos up on our YouTube page, and we'll make sure that people have your contact information. So Carl, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for your talent and for sharing your talent. And I hope you have a wonderful rest of the day.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me, and thank you for letting me to share in this way. I appreciate it.
Oh, I'm just delighted. I was delighted to meet you. Have a great rest of the day.
You too. Bye.
All right, I saw that was Carl Alexander, and again, if you want to check him out on Facebook, it's Carl Alexander Countertenor, and we'll be putting all that stuff up on our YouTube page once we finish today's broadcast. I see that our final guest is in the waiting room. I'm going to bring her in just a second, but I think Xiomarie is there, so let's bring her in first so that she can show us her final product and answer the question that we had about advice for young people. Hi. Wow.
What's the tea? What's the tea?
Wow. Wow. That is so great. Oh my, wow. That is fabulous. And it really is a signature look for you.
Oh, thank you. I love a nude lip, but I'm just, it's just, I was just like, you gotta make this quick.
So did you have any advice for people that are considering grad?
Yes. Okay. So I was thinking very, very hard when that question came up. So with all due respect to the other questions, I didn't remember them, but this one in particular. So as you guys see, I am a drag queen. My pronouns are he, him. I'm plus size. I'm Hispanic. I'm Puerto Rican. And I live in what is a lot of people will consider the hood. Born and raised in Bridgeport, Connecticut, that when I was younger, I remember hearing stories that Bridgeport was in the top 5 most dangerous places in the world. It's one of those things that being a person of color, we always have to work twice as hard. That's just how it is. Unfortunately, with that, it's just reality. Being a person of color, being someone who's plus size, within our community already, it's one of those things where just me being plus size, I already get looked at in certain ways. And that's within our community. So imagine what we have to deal with outside of the community. But what pushes me more and what's something I've always been pushing is representation matters. When I grew up in Bridgeport, I didn't have anybody to look at. I didn't have anyone that I felt comfortable and saying, oh, I can see myself in their shoes, or someone who represented what I felt. All I saw around me, with all due respect to my amazing community, were just people who were part of the LGBTQ plus community. And the way I've had to fight, the way I've had to go about my career has been very, very tricky, because of the fact that I've been doing drag for roughly 9 years. Within the past 6 years, I feel like my drag has definitely gone to a different level, where then I've become a lot of the face of reasoning, or the face of a lot of people in our community that feel like they don't have a voice. If I can stand here today and be the plus size person who now lives in one of the what's called the Hood in Hartford, Connecticut, and I was from Bridgeport, Connecticut, yet I went to Johnson & Wales University, and then I continued and I ended up going for makeup artistry, and now I'm doing everything on my own, where I have my website. Before quarantine, I was traveling between Massachusetts, New Jersey, New York, Connecticut. It's one of those things where you are the only person to limit yourself. With being a person of color, yes, we have to work harder, but representation matters, which means that we have to bust moves that other people wouldn't even think that we have to bust. We have to go through windows that other people think that, oh, I'm gonna go through the door. We have to go through so much, and it's one of those things that's what pushes me to be the artist that I am, and why one thing I've been blessed with is with this quarantine is what every Wednesday at 8 p.m. I have my own show, the XL Show, on Instagram and Facebook on our Kiki Wednesday page, which is me and my promoter, where we're able to showcase 3 different amazing talents every week from around the world. And it's amazing to see the amount of talent that we have, and just the amount of color we have. We always represent the rainbow flag as something that's ours, and yet we have so many different colors within our community that unfortunately do not get represented. And that's what I push for. So for those that are in the process of trying to do drag, for those that are in the process of trying to find the resources, please be careful. Unfortunately, we live in a world where it's a lot of yes, yes, yes. And as soon as you fall into the yes, then you are doing things that are against you. And when I say against you, it's against finding who your identity is. And then there are those that sit there and help guide you through your path to make sure you follow your heart. Your art is your art. Your heart is your heart. Protect that. Look for those that help and enhance, not those that bring you down and say, well, you should do this and you should do that instead. And it's like, no, your job as me, I'm a drag mother. I have 2 amazing drag daughters that they are advocates. They work out in the community. And it's one of those things where they inspire me. And yet to be there and be a mentor for them, I don't tell them you need to go down this path. I don't tell them you need to go down that path. I tell them, if you feel that that is what is on your heart, I support you 100% and I will be there. And I will make sure that when you are there at the end, I am on the opposite side so you know that you have someone there for you. And I feel like representation does matter. Being a person of color, being someone that has fought so hard for our community, it's one of those things that I continue to fight. I will do it till the day I die. And I am so happy and blessed to be able to be in the skin that I am in, to be able to represent for those that did not have.
Wow. You brought tears to my eyes, honey. That was brilliant. Thank you.
No, I thank you guys so much. You guys don't understand.
Say again your Wednesday performance so people can follow you, and we'll put it up on our materials.
Yes. So it's every Wednesday at 8 p.m. It's Kiki Wednesday, either on Facebook or Instagram. And I am the hostess, Xiomarie Lebeija. And every first Wednesday of the month, we have a lovely drag competition called Drag Wars, where you can win $50 in a future book right after quarantine. So it's one of those things where we're trying to just do as much as possible to incorporate everyone and show that we are here, we are always here, and we're always going to continue being here.
Great. Thank you so much, Xiomarie.
I thank you guys so much. I miss you guys, and I can't wait to see you guys after quarantine.
We love you, and we'll see you again soon. Bye.
Yes. Bye, everyone.
All right. So our final guest today is someone who in some ways sort of needs no introduction, but I'm going to introduce her anyway. That I have been following Kate's work for a very long time. She is both a pioneer and I don't even know all the words to use for her, that she is both the most authentic person you'd ever want to see and a person who follows her own journey and follows the fluidity of life. I love, your opening quote, all roads lead to nowhere. So you might as well follow the road that has the most heart and is the most fun. I love that. So welcome to True Colors, Kate. And please, I'm so glad you're here.
Thank you. It's such an honor to be here. I love your work. I'm an admirer of your work, and I'm always here whenever you want to call on me.
Oh, that's so great. I remember, and literally when you and I were talking before this this event, that you were the keynote for the True Colors Conference, and it was actually 17 years ago. And I think it was actually the last time that we were at the University of Hartford, that we outgrew the University of Hartford, and we went, the following year, we went to Central, and then we outgrew that and we went to UConn. And the young people just loved your work. And it was funny, our intern, we had an intern at the time who now runs a sexual assault crisis center, doing amazing work. But this intern absolutely adored you. And so they pursued you relentlessly to get you to come to the conference, because we also didn't have any money. And so, you were so gracious in helping us out in terms of the, your normal fee and everything, that it was wonderful. It was sort of transformational. And then I saw you at a conference in Philadelphia a few years after, and the combination of storytelling, theory, and thinking about gender and all of the elements and all of the different parts that come into gender in such a fun and challenging and interesting way. So I don't know, do you want to talk a little bit about your journey?
A little more specific, please. I'm 72 years old, so my journey is 72 years, and my memory isn't all that good. But if you direct me, I'll do my best.
All right, great. So one of the things I read, Human Rights Campaign did a survey back in 2012, and about 10% of the kids in that survey identified as neither male nor female. But genderqueer was the most common term they used back in 2012. In 2017, they redid the survey. There were 12,000 kids in the survey, and 34% identified as genderqueer, or most commonly non-binary. And so you're one of the first people to really explore the concepts of non-binary and how you express your identity. Do you want to say anything about that?
Sure. I am far from the first person to explore identity outside of man and woman. I'm one of the first people in this century to write about it. And I'm blessed because I've been given a platform so I can talk about it. And the more you talk about it, the more you have to think about it. I started writing about this stuff in, 1988. And there was no word like non-binary or genderqueer. All I knew is I'm not a man. I'm not. And I'm not a woman either. That doesn't fit for me either. And there was no single word I had for it. But what the last 30 years or so of actively saying not one, not the other, there's an old Zen saying. It goes like this: the way you do anything is the way you do everything. So if that's true, if the way you do anything is the way you do everything, then everything you do is a sort of a rehearsal for everything else you do. Let's say you get yourself an ice cream cone on a hot day. You didn't have the money for it, but you managed to figure it out and you got an ice cream cone. Well, then you've got a way of approaching other things that you might desire and might want to have. For me, saying no to the binary of gender has got me saying no to a lot of other binaries as well. And that's mind-blowing. One thing I found, like someone offers you a choice of this or that, that's not a choice. That's just an opportunity to agree with that person that those are the only two options. So whenever you hear someone saying, well, are you this or are you that? You can either answer yes or no. But beyond that, it's not that fun. I can't hear you.
I muted myself so that I would stop getting, but anyway, so do you have, I love that concept of when somebody gives you two choices, that's not a real choice because they're already telling you what's the truth. Are there places where you have seen that in addition to areas around gender? Where are some of the other places where that, you've been able to reject the binary?
Are you going to go to school or are you not going to go to school?
Huh.
Because I had to decide about graduate school and something, and I decided technically not to go to school, but I haven't stopped schooling myself.
Right.
I made sure that happened. So that's not really an either or either.
Right.
Yeah. When I went through with my gender change started in 1984. The word was transsexual. And I'm an actor. That's what I do. That's my favorite thing to do. And I was told, well, you're going to go through this. It's either go through with your your sex change, it was called. Go through with your sex change or give up your acting career. And I went,
yeah, those are...
No. No. And I went through with my sex change, and I learned how to write shows for myself. Yeah. And I did solo shows, and I did enough of them that nowadays I get cast in movies, and I even made it to fucking Broadway. Broadway.
Wow. What did you do on Broadway?
It's a play by the playwright Young Jean Lee called Straight White Men. And Ty Faux, Native American trans man, and I were the hosts of the evening. And we welcomed people into the theater. We introduced the play. We moved the actors around on stage. We were not the straight white men. But there we were on Broadway. And
yeah.
So it wasn't a yes or no. You're either going to be a woman and never act again. And I went, no.
That was not, you're not going to do that. That's really cool. Someone asked on Facebook, how did you get over caring what others think about you?
That's one of the hardest things. That takes a lot of practice. You don't all at once. I still care what people think about me. I want people to like me. I think I don't know if the term is still in use, people pleaser, but I've been that pretty much all my life. And I have had to make decisions that haven't pleased people. Like when I called myself not man, not woman, I pissed off a whole lot of trans women who thought I was trying to speak on their behalf. And okay, how do you get over it? You learn 2 words. Oh, well.
Oh, well.
It's a Jewish thing. It really is. It's a form of acceptance. You go, oh, all right, this is my burden. I'm sorry I can't please you. I wish I could. But oh well. And if you practice that, it helps.
Yeah, that's great. I like that. I'm going to adopt that, I think. I do think it's really, you know, it's a challenging thing. I mean, most of us really want to be liked. You know, we don't want people to be mad at us. You know, we don't want people to not like us. And especially if it's family members, you know, that don't understand or don't, you know, don't accept our identity. One young person asked, you know, what advice would you give to young people about being trans or non-binary? Like, and I'm not sure that that's I don't see the context for that, but you know, what was your relationship with your family like around your identity? And do you have advice for kids who are struggling with their families?
That's a real hard one.
Yeah.
Skipping to the end of that story, the beautiful thing about LGBTQIA, etc., is that we are family for each other.
Yeah.
People call me Auntie Kate. I love that. You know, I'm an auntie, and I have all these wonderful nieces and nephews. I have brothers, I have sisters, I have siblings of genders I couldn't begin to describe. I have a mom, I have a dad. So there's always people to fill that. But, you know, what about our mom? What about our dad or whoever it was that raised us? What about our brother? What about our sister, really? That one's a hard one. Especially now, if you're in a position with lockdown and you're in lockdown with someone who, no, don't you even talk to me about that. Well, they told you how to handle it. Don't talk to them about it. Gender and sexuality. This is what I found out. Gender and sexuality act themselves out in 3 ways: body, speech, and mind. You act out your gender through your body. You dress it up. You make it up. You put on a mustache. You know, you bind yourself. If you're lucky, not lucky, but if that's your wish, and you can get some money together, you get surgery or hormones. It's your body. We do it with speech. We act out gender with speech. We say, my pronoun is such and such. And I call myself a woman. I call myself a man. We do it in speech. Both of those ways can be shut down, especially by our families. I don't want to hear it. Okay, so they've cut out speech. And they certainly don't want to see you walking around with your breast bound or wearing any makeup. But no one can stop us from using our mind. No one can stop us from using our imagination. We still have ideas. We have wishes. We have, okay, one day. And we have fantasies. No one can stop us from that. I did my gender for a good 30 years before I actually came out. I was all kinds of genders in my mind. The only thing we have to learn is patience. That's horrible. We want everything right now. Patience.
Yeah.
That's how you deal with family. And you go, okay, all right. I understand you don't believe that I'm a woman. I get it. And I won't make you think that I won't make you think that I am. I won't. And I won't make you use a pronoun. That's silly. I love you, you love me. For now. And as time goes on, the love is going to win out. It just will. And if it doesn't, you move on.
Yeah. Somebody asked if you could, give some advice to the parents of trans and non-binary kids. What would you tell their parents or their caregivers?
One word: listen. Your child says, I'm really a girl. Okay, then I know what to do. I know what to do. We're going to go get you makeup. We're going to go get you dresses. We're going to go, we're going to take you to a doctor. We're going to get you pills. And no. Just, really? What does that mean to you? How do you want to live that out? And just a word of advice, my child. Of course you're a girl. That's no problem. But remember, you don't have to be a girl every day of your life. That you can change your mind anytime you want to. I will think no less of you.
So it sounds like both listen and walk the journey with them without trying to control the journey. To recognize that the journey really could take lots of different twists and turns and many different paths. And I'm just going to walk it with you. And I'm going to love you all those places of the journey. And I'm not going to make you be one way forever. Yeah. So one person asked that, you really blazed your own trail basically in this, but did you have any, did you have role models as you were sort of pioneering your journey?
I did. They were the solo performance artists of my day. They weren't necessarily trans or non-binary people, but they were artists who struck out on their own and made their work despite the content. I heard one woman, Holly Hughes. She's such a hero of mine. The first time I heard her perform, she was doing a monologue about walking into the bathroom while her mom was in the bath, and she could smell the scent of her mother and in the steam, and you go, holy shit, you're saying this on stage? And you go, yeah, that's my role model. My role models have been people who have, without being mean, spoken their truth.
Yeah, that's great.
But today I've got a lot of role models.
Yeah, so who are some of your role models today?
RuPaul,
yeah.
Right off the bat. That's an amazing gender impresario. That's such a question. Here's remember I said the thing about the memory?
Yeah.
It's true. Not only old age does make you lose your memory, but I'm also a cancer survivor, and I've been through a lot of chemotherapy. That also fucks up your mind.
Brain.
Messes up your mind.
Chemo brain. Yeah. So we're running a little bit low on time. That one of the things that somebody asked, that you're such a role model for so many people. They want to know if you remember who you're following right now, like whose career are you sort of following right now? And then I'm going to ask you, what advice, what's your advice for queer youth from Auntie Kate?
I work in a program called Queer Arts New York. and they have a mentorship program. And I am a mentor. I've chosen my mentee among many applicants, Raja Feather Kelly.
Raja Kelly?
Raja Feather Kelly.
Okay.
I'm following his career very closely. I would say, well, he's a dancer, he's a choreographer, he's a director, and he wanted to come to me to learn about writing. Writing is my secondary love. Acting is my first one. But his writing is astounding. I would call him James Baldwin 2.0.
Wow.
I would keep an eye on that young man. He's
wow. Yeah, we definitely will do that. Somebody just asked, how is it, how has, as a cancer survivor, as a trans person in the healthcare system, has there been, what has that been like for you?
Fine.
Fine.
There have been people who have been puzzled. But here again, getting back to that question of how do you stop caring what people think of you? When I go into a hospital, and I go into hospital a lot, I want them to know that I was assigned male at birth because my anatomy is going to be figured that way. And do I want them to refer to me as she and her? Sure. Is it okay if they say they? I'd actually prefer they. If they say he, that tells me more about them than it could ever say about me. I know that I have been he, so he is part of me. I know that that person is being disrespectful, so I just keep my distance from that person. But in the hospital, boy, when you're a patient, work on gratitude. These people are there to prolong your life, to save your life, to make you feel better. And honestly, identity takes a back seat to life itself. And you go, okay. And you educate where you can. I made a comic book that I gave out to all my doctors and nurses. I did. And,
I bet you did.
Yeah.
I can't believe it, but we ran out of time. And I feel really sad about that because we could definitely keep going for a really long time. But
they were great questions. Whoever's been asking them, thank you. You got me thinking. Appreciate it.
Well, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for being who you are. If people want to follow you, your website is katebornstein.com, right? And other ways that people could follow you if they'd like to?
The way I'm most active these days is on Twitter at Kate Bornstein. And if you tweet at me, I will totally get back to you. Cool. That's my line into social media right now. I went to watch this on Facebook and I didn't know how to do it. I am a Facebook failure. Totally. I'm old,
Learning all these things. Obviously, I thought I had, understood how to work OBS. Clearly, I didn't because none of that worked. But so thank you so much, Kate. I so appreciate your time and I appreciate who you are in the world. And to, what does that say? Does everybody say thanks? There's a lot of people that are writing on the thing. Thank you on the Facebook page. So, and there's lots of hearts flying by.
Well, thank you, Robin. Bless you for your great good work with True Colors.
Thank you.
And all the members who are brave enough to say, yes, I'm a member of True Colors. That's, bless your heart.
Thank you.
Auntie is very proud of you.
We're going to end on that note. Hopefully we'll have all the bugs fixed before next week. And in the meantime, we'll be able to check this out. We're going to try to load it up to the YouTube channel. Thank you for your patience. Thank you to all of the people that participated with us today. And we'll see you next week for further explorations on the journey of gender. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.